So game 2 of the semifinals between the Aces and the Fever went about as bad as it could go for the Indiana Fever. The Aces had all the energy in the building and generally just beat the Fever down, up and down each direction from start to finish, seemingly. There was a small run in the second quarter where I thought the Fever might have had, an opportunity to get back in it, but with, essentially the Nalissa Smith game happening, it was going to be hard if you're going to let her score 17 points and go 7 of 9 from the field. A'ja Wilson had a solid game as well, and Kelsey Mitchell had an off night. That's a recipe for a loss. Absolutely. I would think the Aces came into game 2, and it felt like, their backs are really against the wall. This is why, I stress that the Fever should really go into game 2 and try to get it. Don't depend on that home court. But luckily, in a 5-game series where you're the road team, you did accomplish your objective. You did steal that home court advantage to at least, get the opportunity to win it at home in front of the best, crowd in the league in Indianapolis. And, with 2 games on your home court, you could finish it off there and presumably never have to step foot back in Vegas. As far as I'm concerned, mission accomplished. It was going to be hard to, get 2 wins on Vegas's home court before they got on the board. And this is a team that's been battle tested, and I didn't expect them to just roll over and lay down. And things went about, I say like in blowouts, it's very hard to really take many things from blowouts, because if something just goes absolutely correct for one team and then it doesn't for the other, you can almost throw the result out. I'm like, well, there's not really much to learn there. But I'm looking for game 3 to actually be like one of the first close games. I think the reason why I feel like the game 1, one you can take a little bit more from was the Aces got punched in the mouth by the Fever. I didn't think a lot of people expected that. You expect the number 2 seed to, dominate on their home court, and that's what, kind of happened in game 2. But game 1, I think really just showed what the blueprint is to beating the Aces. It fell in line with, what we thought a lot of their weaknesses were in game 1. There's gamesmanship kind of happening now with Becky Hammon talking about the physicality and the fouls, and Lexie Hull was getting beat on again. It's tough. Stephanie White's talking about the fouls. Very hard to really get anything established with a foul getting called every 10 seconds or so. So I expect that gamesmanship to kind of continue from Hammon and White. But referee talk is almost unavoidable at this point, because, as much as, I like to not focus on the referees, it seems like they demand, to get a little bit of the spotlight here. Final score for the game was 90-68, a 22-point win for the Aces. They jumped out to a 9-point lead in the first quarter and pretty much just kept, hitting the Heisman from there, extending the forearm, so to say. Looking at, the individual scores, as I mentioned, A'ja Wilson, 25 and 9, 5 steals, and, a couple block shots as well. Nalissa Smith, 18 points, 7 boards. I don't think you can necessarily count on that if you're an Aces fan. So Nalissa Smith with some found money right there. I think when she comes back to Indy, it's going to be a different story for her. Jackie Young with 13 and 5, but it seemed like she was in kind of much more control than it felt like in game 1. Chelsea Gray had 10 assists and was really trying to, impact the game as a playmaker. She did all her no-look passes, and, when she turns her head real quick to, try to fool you and all that. Even Jewel Lloyd, with some positive contributions. This one felt like, all right, you cede this one to them, but I like I said before, I think the tone for this series is established. It's going to be physical, and I think that does favor the Fever. Asking, for them to go up 2-0 on the road is a big task, so I'm just happy that they got the split. I'm happy they're bringing it back, to Indiana, and, they're going to have a chance to really do something special there. We're probably going to get some awesome games between these teams. But, the magic ran out for the Fever. The Fever were on just such a roll from going back to game 2 of the first round series against the Dream. Game 2, 3, and then game 1 was, some of the most just inspired basketball I think I've seen, this team play. But they came back to earth a little bit. I think they are going to need more out of Aaliyah Boston. She's averaging 8 points a game for the series. If you're going to be, potentially like a number one or second option, that you can depend on offensively, I think you got to, take it to Asia a little bit more and try to cancel her out a little bit. If Odyssey Sims, no disrespect to her, is our, leading scorer, I don't think that's a game that we're going to win. 18-7 for her. So she had a good game. But, can't lie, man. The Aces kind of gave the Fever that belt. And it's going to be interesting to see the rest of this series play out and who's really going to impose their will. With the Fever getting to, go back to their own beds and get some home cooking. And when you think about the turnaround the Fever had with, winning that game in Atlanta on Thursday, then having travel days for the game Sunday, you would think that they would have rolled over in game one. But, they came to play a little bit early. And I imagine they're itching to get back to familiar territory and shoot at their own rims. I think that is a very understated thing, the value of shooting at your own rims. They were all over Kelsey Mitchell and, funneling her into Asia Wilson and basically cutting off any passing lanes. 1 of 6 from 3. That's going to be tough for Kelsey. So I'm looking for her to bounce back because she's, been probably the best player in the playoffs overall. And, but it seems like we're just getting started, man. 1-1, and now it's, a best of 3. 2 games here now on the Fever's court, and, presumably a game 5 if it makes it that far in Vegas. I think the Fever still will win the series. I don't know about how many games anymore. I'm going to stick with my prediction of 4, but it wouldn't shock me if they had to, go all 5, because I think the further along this series gets, the more personal it's going to get. Obviously, the fan bases are already at it. I think Lexie Hull is getting beat up to almost an insane degree. I think they need to do something about this. And this series is going to resonate and have ripple effects, I think, for years to come. So what did you guys think about game 2? I still got a positive mentality on it. And, we will see how it all plays out, going forward. But in my eyes, the Fever did their job. They got one on the board. And that's almost all you can ask for, unless you're greedy. So anyway, I'm Rich. Peace. It's one lifetime. Let me know what you guys thought of the game in the comment section. I'll holler at you guys.